What's up guys, Dan with True North Motos. Today we're going to be installing a relayed lighting harness on a 23 TX 300. It's going to be the same harness as you have on a KTM. Kind of already prepped this bike, so ECU's loose. We got a zip tie right here around the main loom for where we're going to put the relay, and we've already loosened the wire guide and popped it out of the frame right there. Also, we've disconnected the battery. So first things first, gonna move this ECU. Husky has a little bit different tray, so you're gonna just compress this tab and pop your diagnostic connector off. Grab your harness. So there's a little pad right here. Used to go on a post like this one, but new bikes don't have that. So what we're gonna do is run your yellow wire back to plug in, and then your tail light wire as well is going to go underneath and back like that. Kind of keep those protected and out of the way. So once we got that, we'll start this zip tie. Like everything when I'm doing videos, leave the zip ties somewhat loose. Okay, so now diagnostic plug, kind of just wrap under there. You can plug that in, and it's just going to live right down in there. If you're going to run a tail light, we'll get to that. If you're not going to run a tail light, just stash this wire under your ECU, and it'll be nice and out of the way. So going forward, this guy is going to come under that, connect right into there, and you can just leave your fuse right on top of your starter solenoid there. And then same thing like on the KTM, you can either run this back to itself or you can choose to run it to the frame ground down here. Just make sure the wire is clear for when your tank's going to drop into there. For the rest of the harness, we're going to route it along the factory wiring loom. So it's going to go down, like that, come up, back behind here. So now that you got that kind of ran, you can loosely do a few zip ties to kind of hold this in place. Leave your zip ties loose till you're done. Up to the front of the bike. Okay, so that's about where I like to leave these plug-ins. This is your headlight plug. So we can just kind of leave it for loose down there. So we'll kind of tighten up that zip tie there. Probably run one more right here. We built this harness so it has plenty of slack for when you're turning, but it is a good idea to always take the bike off the stand, turn your handlebars both ways, make sure everything's clearing. All right. So now you have your harness ran. These are going to be leads for plugging in a Tusk fan, which I'll go over a little bit later in this video. So basically you just want to follow all your loom now. Make sure you're good. We can start working our way back here. So zip tie down here. Tighten that guy up. We can push our wire organizer back in. It's a plastic screw, just seat it. Okay, tight there. There. Run the wire on the left side of your main loom so your tank still has plenty of room to drop in here. Okay. So I'm going to choose to run this back up onto here. Oops. Positive. If I could get this boot back. Now I'll put a slit in this boot to make it slide back over. I'm gonna save time in the video and not do this right now. So that's basically it for installing the wiring harness there. Now we're gonna put the switch in the headlight mask. So over here on the bench, we have the Cyclops Trail Boss headlight and the 22-23 TE headlight assembly. We did the black lower on this bike. Basically, I like to run the switch on the right side of the headlight mask. It'll go right in that turn signal hole. And when I'm putting these switches on, I like to use a dab of medium Loctite on the thread so the button doesn't rattle off. Snug. Good to go there. So right here is where this is going to plug in. Can't really mess it up. One's female, one's male. This is going to turn the whole harness on or off while the bike's running. This is a relayed harness, so it'll time out on its own, but this is just a feature that we add so you can kill your whole lighting circuit while the bike's running if you don't want to use it. These bikes kind of have a weak stator, so you know, if you're running a fan and lights and stuff, just something to think about. Headlight's just gonna go on there. It's gonna plug in like so. It'll go right on the straps. And that's basically it for installing that harness and a headlight. Now, If you want to add a tail light, this is a tail light with our all-in-one light, running light, brake light, turn signals, license plate light. Kind of a universal under fender is what we got to use on these. I am not going to drill this one because this is not my bike. This is a customer bike and he's not going to run a tail light. But basically, you're going to want to hold this up, get your tail light lined up, and then mark your holes and drill your fender through. Now after you do that, you're going to run your connectors through the center before you mount it, and you're going to come up and you're going to drill a hole right here to run the 2 plugs through. There's a wire guide in this rear fender for the taillight wires to come in right there. And you can see when it's on the bike, like so. It's going to route your wires in and down into this channel, and you can plug in to your taillight plug right there. Like I said, I'm not going to do this on this bike because he's not going to run one. You will also have to take this little plastic part of the underneath of the air box and drill a hole there for your connectors to come into this channel and follow up into there. So that's how you're going to mount your taillight on this bike. Turn signal wiring harness. There's a video for the KTM. It's the exact same as this Husqvarna. That's the only difference, is routing the taillight wires right there. Otherwise, routing the turn signal wires and everything else and mounting the switch is all going to be the exact same. So just follow that video to finish up if you're going to make this a dual sport kit. Another thing real quick that we're going to talk about is this Tusk fan. So we chose to run the Tusk fan on this bike because it only draws 15 watts versus a 35 watt Spall fan. Fits well. We are going to wire it directly into the harness so it doesn't have a parasitic draw versus going to the battery. That's what these bullets up front were for, and they will plug right into the auxiliary power on your relayed harness. One note, we had to use a 6mm button head bolt, 15 millimeters in length, instead of the big hex bolts that they come with, to clear the tank. But otherwise, this fan clears, it mounts right up, and it's a good price point at 120 bucks. So that's about it. If you guys have any questions of that, anything like that, feel free to reach out. My contact number is on the website, and so is my email. Thanks for checking it out.